Hello everyone, this is Ashley Radosevich and this is my Classroom Assessment Plan of Action PowerPoint. So the improvement goals that I have decided upon are feedback, performance assessments, and adapting and leveling cognitive difficulties. When I look at my feedback as a kindergarten teacher, I have decided that I really need to work on overall oral conversations with my students, having them sit down at my teacher table and do one-on-one conversations, and that includes like the teacher table time, and then also open-ended questioning. I feel like with kindergartners, using open-ended questioning is very, very important, and I receive so much feedback from my students as well as me getting feedback or giving feedback to them through those open-ended questions. I also would like to have students give feedback to one another, and that can be, again, with oral conversations as well as those open-ended questions from each other. The second area of improvement goals that I would like to work on is my performance assessments. It has been a struggle for me to figure out how to give performance assessments to kindergartners, especially at the beginning of the year when they are just learning to read and they don't have those writing skills yet. The big thing that I've learned from this class is using exit tickets. And so finding exit tickets on, finding missing numbers from 1 to 10 in math, or making, if you have an uppercase A and a lowercase a, you have to trace them and then write them your own. So those are the performance assessments that I am looking for. I will probably do these performance assessments at my teacher table time, so they are differentiated. I feel that with my group of kiddos, especially in language, there are so many different areas that we are working on. So using these exit tickets during teacher table time will really help me reassess where they need to be or keep them going with the group that they're in. The third area that I will be working on is adapting and leveling cognitive difficulties. This area, to me, is very, very critical with students because I don't want to push them to the point where they get frustrated. So how I plan on doing that is continuing my small groups, because that way I can challenge them just enough that they don't reach that frustration level, but they are being challenged. And then also asking questions to all of my students and allowing them to answer by using either a choice board or a menu or talking with their partners and do a think, pair, share. Different ways to get them thinking, because with my group I have noticed, and with all students, they are all so different and they all think so differently on one area. So it is really important to allow all of those learning styles to share what they know. And this way I can still reach those cognitive levels, but it won't be to where they get frustrated. When I think about my plans for my goals for next year, feedback, my main thing is just starting all of my feedback earlier in the year. I would like to start the year with open-ended questions. I would like students to get familiar with thinking on their own and problem solving on their own sooner. And I feel like, towards the middle of the year, I would like students to be able to move into giving each other feedback. Right now during our writers workshop, they get with a partner and they edit each other's papers. So I like that style, but I would like to start it a little earlier when they can orally give each other feedback and talk about what went well, what didn't go well, and I noticed this or I didn't notice this. So that way they have student feedback. For performance assessments, the big thing is just exit tickets. I want to start using those basic exit tickets after each and every lesson. So starting from the beginning of the year, if we do a lesson on letter A, I want to do an exit ticket on letter A and do that every single day for math and literacy. And then as we move on in the year, to move to every other day or every couple of days, once a week. And that way these students are able to still keep up with previous lessons as well. In kindergarten, we don't just hit a standard and move on. It is a lot of going back and revisiting standards from the beginning of the year. So using these exit tickets would really help concrete those standards. And I would also like to vary in different skill sets for each ticket. So for example, one day it might be a true or false question, the next day it might be draw a picture and label it, or for math, write a number sentence, and then the next day show me or draw a picture of a number sentence. So that way it is reaching those different learning styles and those different levels within my students as well. And then lastly, for adapting and leveling cognitive difficulties, I want to continue small groups all year for both math and literacy. I have found this year that it has worked extremely well for my students, and we start it very, very slow in the beginning, but now they know what is expected. They come to teacher table time and they know what is expected of them all the time. So that is something that I definitely want to continue. I think just taking it a next step to, once again, just push students to that cognitive level without getting them frustrated. And then lastly, focusing on each student's strengths within working with small groups. So one day if I have student A loves to draw pictures, and that's how they represent what they're thinking, we might take that day and we all draw a picture. And then the next day, another student, they're really strong at writing, so we might all work on a writing. And just kind of showcasing each student's abilities, as well as helping those other students who are not so good at writing or not so good at drawing and labeling. And then it's very controlled in a small group setting, so I can help the struggles as well. I wanted to end my presentation with some example pictures of just different assessments that I do, and ones that I will continue to do and kind of revamp a little bit, and then some that I will just add completely to my year next year. So just briefly, the first picture, that one is at my teacher table. I purchased some whiteboard tape that I stuck on spots for each student to sit at, and then this specific picture is of our math teacher table time. So this group, I read them a story problem, and they had to write a number sentence that matched the story problem, as well as draw a picture to resemble what the story problem and number sentence were about. So this way it kind of gives students all types of learning styles the ability to focus on their area of strength, as well as an area that they need to work on. So then a couple of the other pictures are just from literacy centers and math centers. All of my centers, they are required to not only do what the center is, but they also have to have an accountability piece. So for example, the math center with the big cards, that one they had to make a number sentence using the deck of cards, and then they had to, if it was a subtraction problem, they had to reverse it to make an addition problem to make sure that the sum or the difference was the same. And then they had to have a friend check it as well as their teacher check it. So then they had that accountability piece. And then if you jump down to the blends matching picture, that one is a literacy tub center where students had to find the blends of the different pictures, match them, and then they had to get a scratch piece of paper, and they had to write down 2 other words that had the same blend. And in the beginning, when we first started this, it was just the blend at the beginning of a word, but we have since expanded that to a blend. The blend can be found at the beginning or the end of the word. So those are just a couple different math and literacy centers that I use within my centers every day. If you jump up to the picture of the exit ticket, that is primarily where I want to go for next year. I would like to use exit tickets, like I've mentioned in previous slides. I would like to use exit tickets all the time within my classroom. I feel like these are going to give me the best information and the best data for each individual student. And it will also give them a variety of different ways to think and different ways to show what they know. The example is filling in the blanks from 0 to 20. I would have my students not only fill in the blanks, but also make sure their numbers are facing the right way and they're not flip-flopping the numbers and all of that. So that would be one way to use it. I would also find the reverse, and they had to go from 20 down to 0 using skip counting and all of those different aspects for exit tickets. And the final picture that I would like to explain is the one in the middle on the bottom, the basket with all the little dice. These are conversation and story problem dice that I just purchased on Amazon. The way that I have started using these and the way that I will use them, all through next year are during small group time and as well during whole group time. I will roll a dice and have the students answer the question. Sometimes it is a 2-answer question, sometimes it has 3, and sometimes it's an open-ended question. So it might be, what do you think will happen in this story? What do you predict will be the outcome for these characters? Or different things like that. And some of them are just very straightforward. Tell me what a character is. Tell me what the setting is. So these conversation and question dice will really help with mastering that open-ended assessment goal that I have. So that is all I have, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions or comments, I would love to hear them. Thank you.